Let's work a little bit more on the wedding quilt. Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin, and on this channel I teach old-fashioned sewing skills and we copy originals. We are working on a reproduction 1840s wedding quilt. Yes, I have been married a year and a half. Actually, it's almost 2 years at this point. And no, the wedding quilt is still not done, but we're working on it very slowly. I keep meaning to bring this to events, to actually do it at events, which would be great, except for the fact it's so big and bulky that it never fits in the car to take it to events. So that is why we're still working on this thing, because I'm gone most weekends, which is my time to work on things like this, and I can't bring it with me most of the time. And also, when I can bring it with me, because we're doing smaller events, they tend to be outdoor events where we're camping. And have you seen how much white is in this thing? Not a good idea to bring that outside. So it has been sitting in the corner of my living room for a while, mostly because I just haven't had time. My time to work on it, I'm out at events and I can't bring it with me. So we are still working on this thing, and we'll probably be working on it for a while. So I'll give you like periodic updates next year how I get it done. Eventually we'll do a debuting video, maybe end of next year. But we're gonna work on it. I have 3/4, I think, of the applique done. And so I'm gonna work a little bit on that this week. And then I have most of the quilting I still need to do. But you know, it is what it is. After that, it's just the binding. So I'm thinking about setting myself a goal. Maybe 1 medallion a week, which I think is very doable. I can actually do that in a couple hours. So I just sit down once a week and do that. And then I'll have to figure out some other set schedule for the outline. And then if I can do, when we get to quilting, if I can do 2 medallions a week, this should be done in a couple months at that rate. And yeah, the weather's really bad out here. I think we're under a tornado warning. I'm actually not sure. I haven't looked at it. The wind's been kicking up a lot. My house is making noises it never has actually made. So it wouldn't surprise me if we're under a tornado warning. But if you hear thunder, lightning, rain, all sorts of fun noises, that's what's going on. But let's go ahead and get to working. It's been a while. I'm actually really excited to get my pins back, because my pins have been caught up in this project for about a year now, meaning that over half my pins I have not had access to, and I'm really looking forward to getting them back. You would think that would have actually motivated me to actually do things, but you know, I just want to make sure that all stitching is really tight and good, because this will likely be washed a lot, because most of what we do is outside camping type situation, and I like to wash my bedding afterwards. So I have 2 other quilts that I've made done entirely by hand, and both of them are somewhat falling apart. Now granted, one of them I did way before I actually knew how to hand sew, so that was a technique issue. The second one, I don't really know why it's falling apart a little bit. It's only in a couple places, so I just gotta go and reinforce some areas. But the goal here is, if I don't keep getting knots in my thread, is to make it really nice and tight to maybe where it won't fall out on me. The not so fun part about this is it's still attached to my quilting frame, because I started doing some quilting on some of the medallions that are finished. And so I'm like attached to the quilting frame while I'm trying to finish the applique. This is not really how you're supposed to quilt. You're supposed to finish one step and then get to the other steps. It just makes sewing it a little inconvenient. It's not like it's gonna hurt anything when the quilt is actually done. I also really hate quilting, really hate making quilts. So part of me doing all the different steps was just to keep myself from getting totally bored with the project. I really, really, really despise making quilts. And I think to make this video a little bit more interesting, usually I do a review at the end of the calendar year, just talk about how the channel is going and any changes I'm going to make to scheduling, that sort of thing, because I know a lot of you are new. So I figured we'll go ahead and make that into one video, so we'll go ahead and do a review video here. So I know we started off last year this time with a little over 1,000 subscribers. We're now over 5,000, so I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. That is a lot more people than I ever thought would be interested in anything that I do. I know I've said that in years past. I just really did think there's more than 100 people on the planet that would be interested in this. So I really appreciate y'all. I love it, especially when y'all comment. I love hearing from the same people over and over and over again, because I kind of feel like I get to know y'all a little bit. It's just really nice to have a community of like-minded people who also enjoy historical sewing, or at least historical sewing techniques. So that has been a lot of fun. And again, I just really appreciate everyone who watches and comments and all that fun stuff. So next year, what are we doing next year? So next year, we're going to make some changes. First of all, I think I mentioned this in one other video. Rhett has decided he wants to start doing Revolutionary War, American Revolutionary War, 1770s, which is a time period I've always admired, but I live in Texas, and so I've never ventured into that time period. I never thought I would. And also it's a whole nother time period that is hand stitch only. Wasn't sure I really wanted to add that to my plate. But because it's the 250th anniversary starting next year, we're going to start going and doing some back east events for that time period. We're going to start doing some clothes for that. We're going to do women's and baby stuff, just because I might as well go ahead and do the baby stuff while we're here. Not that I'm going to need it anytime soon, but it'd be fun to do it. So I do a lot more 19th century. So we're going to keep doing 19th century once a month. So one video will be 19th century women's, and one will be 19th century children's every single month, like we have been doing. Now, we've also been doing the same thing for 20th century. I don't do 20th century as much, and I won't do 18th century as much. So what I figured is that we would just do 1 month 20th century, 1 month 18th century. So we'll go back and forth. We'll alternate those time periods. So next month we will start with the 18th century. We're going to make shifts for me, and I think caps for babies. And then we'll work our way down. The next month, February, will be a 20th century month. So we'll work on something for both babies and for women. And then we'll go back to 18th century and kind of just work it that way. So that will be a major change, and it'll be fun because I don't know a whole lot about the 18th century. This is not a time period I've ever studied historically. I've never handled any originals, so I'm going to be running blind a lot of the time, and it's probably going to be entertaining because of that. Other than that, let's see what other changes did I decide we're going to make. I'm going to stop doing quite as many shorts, just because they actually don't take a lot of time to do, but it all kind of adds up. So I think we're only going to do videos Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You'll get a full-length video on Mondays and Fridays along with the short, and you'll get shorts Wednesday, and then every other week, or the second and fourth Wednesday, you will get a podcast episode. I'm still going to keep that twice a month instead of every week for right now. We might reevaluate that next year. Another big thing we're going to change is that once a month, so I've decided I want to start doing some deep dives into time periods to really help people better their impressions as living historians. So I'm going to start a series called Bettering Your Impression, and we're going to choose a decade a year. So for a whole year, we stuck into one time frame, exact time frame. Next year, we're going to start with the 1840s because we have some 1840 stuff coming up in Texas. It's something I have studied and I have done in the past, but I have not really dove in deep, so it's going to help me. And also, hopefully, I know a lot of you do 1840s, because I know there's a lot of forts and stuff that do 1840s, and then Oregon Trail type stuff. So I thought that would be a really good time period to start with. And when I say we're going to go in deep, we're going to go in pretty deep. So every month, you're probably going to get, it's going to be at least a 30-minute video, if not 45 minutes to an hour. And we're going to cover all manners of topics and try to do exhaustive as I can. I mean, it's not going to be totally exhaustive, but so the first episode will be next month, and it'll be on research. We're going to talk about all the primary documentation that we can find for free or cheap online and also in person. Cheap ways to research. Here's exactly what you need for the 1840s. Here's some resources for you so you can get into those primary sources if you're a living historian. The next month will be how to pick fabrics for this particular time period. We're going to look at a whole bunch of originals, and we're going to talk about all the similarities. We're going to talk about the trends. We're going to talk about what makes 1841 different in fabrics than 1849. All of that fabric stuff is going to be that one episode. That's going to be a really long episode. I've already written the script for that. It's going to be a long episode, but it's going to be fun. The next episode will be about picking patterns. So we're going to talk about good patterns for the 1840s, bad patterns for the 1840s. Also, here's how to draft your own patterns for the 1840s. All of that's going to be in one video. It's probably also going to be a very long video. Next episode is going to be a pretty simple one. It's going to be how to make a dress. Here are the steps to make a dress. Here's exactly the techniques that we use. Here's some options that you can do. Here's how to make a 1840s dress for breastfeeding. Here's how to make a maternity dress. Here's how to make a regular dress. Here's how to make a front closing dress, a back closing dress. Here are the ways that you can hem a dress. All of that fun stuff is going to be in that video. Next month, there's actually 3 months we're going to do on how to make an outfit, which means accessorizing. And we're going to take it by class. We're going to do how to do a wealthy impression, how to do a poor impression, how to do a middle class impression. And that'll just help you decide who you're going to be and how to look that. After those 3 months, we're going to do a one on period crafts and games, so how to keep yourself and others busy, something you can do with visitors. Here's something that you can do just by yourself as a demonstration. And then we'll have an episode on feeding yourself, period recipes. We're going to go over some resources for that, as well as make a couple of them, and also a little bit about period correct food containers. The next one will be about keeping your camp or house authentic, things that you would pack for that type of thing, how to keep that looking good. The episode in November is going to be talking about packing, so traveling. We're going to talk about luggage, making sure your stuff is in period correct containers, because that's something I struggle with and that I need to get better at. We're going to work a little bit on making period correct luggage, all of that fun stuff. And then we'll do one episode of just wrapping it all up, talking about the highlights of everything as kind of a review video. So that's next year's plan. As far as the Bettering Your Impression series that I'm going to start. I haven't decided what we're going to do after that. I'm thinking we might do 1860s, because I know a lot of people do 1860s, but I'm open to suggestions about what time period in 2026 we should do for that Bettering in Your Impression situation. We're going to continue doing myth busting videos every other month. On the offsets, we're going to keep doing the capsule wardrobes and other types of research videos. Of course, we're going to continue with the podcast. What else did I decide we're going to do? Oh, a big one. Just because of time restraints, and I'm starting a whole new time period, I'm going to have to move doll stuff. I know a lot of my subscribers are doll people who follow for specifically how to make doll clothes. And unfortunately, that's going to have to take a little bit of a backseat this year as I continue, again, making a whole new time period, all that sort of fun stuff, but also it's going to take some time. So I'm going to do dolls on the 5th Friday, which there are only 4 5th Fridays in a year. What I am going to do to make it a little bit better is that when those videos come out, I am going to make them quite extensive for the most part. I don't think the first one's going to be very extensive. But when I do any sewing videos for dolls, they're going to be 3 or 4 items in that one video, and they're going to be longer just to kind of make up a little bit for the fact that we're not doing them as often. Alright, so I have most of it done. This is the one we're working on. So I have a little bit of the green and then 2 flowers to do. I have no idea how long I've been working, but it's been a few hours. I think this is going to be a nice Sunday afternoon project whenever we're not at events, and get a medallion. I think I only have 2 more medallions after this, because I'm pretty sure I had 6 of the 9 done, and then I only have half of the border to do, because the other half is done. 24 pins. I have 24 pins I have liberated. These flowers are the hardest part to sew, because I don't want any of this to come to a point. I want it to be all nice and pretty and curved, and it's really hard to not, when I'm folding these edges in, to get any type of point. So I'm really excited because now that I'm almost done with this, I get to actually work on what I want to work on. And there we are, finished medallion. All nice and pretty. I think I have 2 more to do. And here are all my pretty liberated pins that I'm really excited about. So now I have a little bit more motivation to do the other 2 so I can get all these pins back. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today as we worked a little bit on this quilt. That should have been done already, but oh well, we're getting it done. And also listen to our plans for next year. If you've enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe to the channel, click that little bell notification so you're notified anytime I upload a new video. And as always, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you back here in the next video.